When I was in college, I loved watching movies in my apartment. But a regular screen just didn't cut it for me, so I went all in. I spent over $1,000 on a high-end projector. Watching movies and playing Legend of Zelda on a massive 100-inch screen, it was amazing. But when I moved out, I had to sell it. And since then, I haven't owned a projector. They're either too expensive or I just don't like the look of them. They look like something out of a hospital. Then recently, a company called Magcubic reached out and asked if I want to try out their L018 projector, which is a budget-friendly 1080p model that runs on Android. So I looked it up, and honestly, it looked pretty sleek and minimalistic. So I thought, why not? Let's see if it can bring some big screen magic back to my studio. They sent this unit over, but as always, my review is completely independent. So let's check this out together. The packaging and the setup are pretty straightforward, nothing complicated. Right out of the box, I really like the overall design of this projector. It's basically a cube with rounded edges, set on a 360-degree tiltable hinge on both sides. A design choice that I will explain later. It comes in white, which fits perfectly with a clean, minimalist aesthetic. The build is all plastic, but it feels solid. The hinges are sturdy, and instead of a continuous tilt, it locks into place at different angles, kind of like the iris clicks on some high-end camera lenses. This is a great feature because you can freely adjust the projector's angle without needing a tripod. Now with that said, I personally prefer using a tripod since it makes repositioning and adjusting the height much easier. Even though the projector is made from a single material, the different textures add to its design. There are mesh holes on the sides for cooling and a vertical grill on the back, which is a nice touch. Speaking of the back, that's where all the ports are. A USB port, an HDMI if you want to connect an external device, which I highly recommend because the built-in Android system is extremely slow and laggy, making it pretty much unusable aside from adjusting basic settings like the brightness, contrast, and color. There's also a headphone jack, though I doubt many people will use it. As for the audio, it has a built-in speaker and that's decent, but for the best experience, I suggest connecting a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi speaker via the aux port. Now let's see how this thing performs. The image quality is about what you expect from a 1080p projector, and it depends on how far you place it from the screen. I recommend setting it about 10 to 15 feet away for the best balance of sharpness and brightness. The colors and the contrast are decent, not top tier, but good enough for casual viewing. You can improve the experience by darkening the room, like closing the blinds to reduce ambient light. One thing I noticed is that the image has a bit of an over-sharpening look. Personally, I prefer a softer image, but this is subjective. If you get up close, you will start to see the picture break apart a little, and that's normal for most projectors, especially since I'm projecting it onto a rough wall. If possible, I recommend using a proper projector screen for better clarity. But if you like me, projecting onto a wall is a more convenient option. Now that said, if you are sitting 10 to 15 feet away, the image quality is excellent for a 1080p projector. And coming from someone who has owned a much higher end model before, I say it's totally enjoyable for the price. When I first got into projectors, I didn't think much about adjustability. I just wanted a big screen experience. Back when I owned the Extreme Horizon, the image quality was great, but I quickly realized something annoying. Adjusting the angle was a hassle. It pretty much had to sit on a tripod to work for my setup. That's why I really appreciate the hinge design on the Magcubic L018. Instead of needing extra gear, I can just place it on a table or even a stack of books and tilt it however I want. Simple, but surprisingly useful. One thing that used to drive me crazy with projectors was people walking in front of the screen, blocking the image, and blinding themselves in the process. But with this, I can set it up high and tilt it down and avoid that entirely. And honestly, the best part is I can finally project movies onto the ceiling while I'm lying down. I've always wanted to do that. But with my other projector, balancing it on a tripod like that was a disaster waiting to happen. So I really loved the hinge design on the Magcubic projector. Back in the days, adjusting the focus of a projector was always a hassle. I spent time turning the focus ring, getting everything sharp, only to accidentally bump into it and have to start all over. It was frustrating, but at the time, that was just how projectors worked. That's why I really appreciate the Magcubic L018 has a autofocus and auto keystoning. You just turn it on and it automatically adjusts the image to fit your wall, avoiding obstacles and keep things sharp. It's 2025 and I think every single projector should have this feature by now. Now when it comes to noise and heat, it's about what you expect. It sounds like a laptop running at full speed, and it gives off heat like a laptop that's running on full speed. But as long as you're sitting at least 5 feet away, it's not really an issue. So, what do I think about this projector and who is this for? I'd say it's exactly what you expect from a budget projector, and that's a good thing. The aesthetic and the image quality checks the right boxes, and it comes with essential features like auto keystone and autofocus. But what really surprised me was the hinge design. I didn't think much about it at first, but it turns out to be super useful, especially if you want to get cozy and watch a movie while lying in the bed. For under $100, it offers a different way to experience content. I can see it being great for casual movie nights or watching football with friends. That said, I wouldn't recommend it for gaming since the latency isn't that good, and I suggest using an external streaming device because the built-in system is pretty slow. Overall, at this price point, it has everything you need in a projector to check the right boxes. It won't replace a TV. TVs are just better in terms of detail, color, and contrast. But a big screen projector has the fun factor. And let's be real, you can't exactly mount a TV on your ceiling to watch while lying down. Well, you could, but do that at your own risk. Thanks for watching. My name's Aki, and I'll be linked the projector in the description box below if you want to check it out. Big thanks to the company for sending this over, and I will definitely find a good use for it in my studio. Until then, see you in the next video.